This is a public address to Jehovah's people, to Jehovah God's people. Though there are some who are still with the organization, though there are some in exile, Jehovah's people need to hear this message again and again. In the book of Deuteronomy, there is a song that Jehovah God commissions Moses to write. This song is not dedicated, nor does it apply to the Methodist Church or the Baptist Church or to the Catholic Church, nor to all world religions. It doesn't apply to the worldly people. It doesn't apply to governments. And the one thing that I do not have to do, and that I'm not going to do, principally, because Jehovah's Witnesses should know their scriptures. They should know their Bibles. Hopefully they read it and they don't let other men read it for them. Because this, Jehovah God wrote it for you, for me, all of us individually to read. And for nobody else to hold it like this and to dictate what the scriptures mean. When you read the scriptures, Jehovah God's Spirit helps you to understand these things. And there is a scripture that the Apostle Paul speaks of. He says that the physical man understands the physical things, but the spiritual man understands the spiritual things. Meaning that the spiritual man is able to see the spiritual side of Jehovah's Word. He can read between the lines. And Jehovah God's Spirit gives him the ability to understand it. Now let's not confuse Jehovah God's Spirit with men who say they are the chosen channel or are God's spokesman. God does have his messengers, but Jehovah God only sends out his messengers when they have erred, when they have done wrong. And that is why the Song of Moses is coming up at this time. At this very time. A time in which Jesus said it would be the sign that would bring the end about of this system of things. Now, if you all turn to Deuteronomy chapter 32 and read the Song of Moses, you will read in there that the whole chapter talks about Jehovah's faithfulness, that his activity is a perfect rock. But then it talks about his servants. And as 32 verse 5 says, they have acted ruinously on their own part. They are not his children. The defect is their own. A generation crooked and twisted. So we see Jehovah's faithfulness toward his people. But if there's any errors, it will be on the part of a generation that will come along and be unfaithful to their God. Now, it does talk about a servant in this song who did not serve any other gods. He was faithful to Jehovah. Then it speaks about an individual that says he forsook God who made him and despised the rock of the salvation. They began inciting him to jealousy with strange gods. With detestable things, they kept offending him. They went sacrificing to demons, not to God. God whom they had not known, gods whom they had not known, new ones who recently came in, with whom your forefathers were not acquainted with. You could read the entire Song of Moses, and it will talk to you about Jehovah's vengeance, and it will talk to you about the rebelliousness of his own people. Now, there are many in the organization today. 7 million, probably 7 million plus now. And the amount of anointed partakers increases. So what's going on there? We also know things aren't going too good for the organization. They're going bad. So, what gives way to all of this disruption, to this chaos within the organization? Jehovah's Spirit has left the organization. Jehovah God has sent many of his sons to talk to the hierarchy of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, the governing body, and to tell them of their errors, of why did they stray off path. So when they began to question the Jehovah's Witnesses or the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society's wrongdoings, what did they do? How did the elders respond? Even though everything is scripturally based, even though these that spoke out against the organization, it's all based out of the scriptures. Was it Jehovah that sent these messengers? It's in here. It says that he would. Or did Jehovah's nation, as the Song of Moses, a twisted and crooked generation, has it finally come in this time and rebelled against Jehovah God? What are the rumors? What are the reports that we're hearing within congregations? We're hearing of sects. We're hearing of divisions. We're hearing of all kinds of strifes, fornication, adultery. We're hearing of pedophiles. These aren't the only things that that the rumors that are coming out of the organization. There's many other things that are wrong. Now they're going to be putting ATMs and credit card sliding machines in Jehovah God's organization, inside the congregations. Sounds a lot like the temple in Jesus' time when they were selling animals to be sacrificed. If Jesus was here, what would Jesus do to those who decided and made the decision to put ATMs and credit card sliding machines within the congregations? He would scourge them with a whip. And he would say, "Stop turning my Father's place into a marketplace." This isn't the only thing that happened. Not by a long shot. And Jehovah God is most hardest on his own people. How do we know this? The book of Amos, chapter 3. The book of Amos, chapter 3. Jehovah God says, to his own people. Book of Amos, chapter 3. This one I will read, because it's crucial. Amos chapter 3. It says, "Hear this word that Jehovah has spoken concerning you, O sons of Israel, concerning the whole family that I brought up out of the land of Egypt, saying, You people I have known, out of all the families of the ground. That is why I shall hold an accounting against you for all your errors." Now, ever since 2001, when the great Exodus began and took place, ever since 2001 occurred, there was something that spilled out onto the news that began a great exodus of brothers beginning to leave. That was the boiling point, to some degree. That was the boiling point, because it was exposed of what the Watchtower Bible and Trek Society was doing. Well, what was exposed? One of the most terrible offenses to Jehovah God. First of all, one of the things that Jehovah God has with his people, that he makes with his people, is a covenant, a promise that he'll take care of his wife, his spiritual wife, so long as she doesn't go out and commit spiritual adultery. Well, what is spiritual adultery? It's when his own nation goes out and begins to make alliances with other nations. You know your scriptures. You know that that's why the first nation of Jerusalem got in trouble with Jehovah God. If we look here in Isaiah, here it is. Isaiah chapter 39, verse 3. Well, we'll go a little bit up, a little higher up. 1 through 6. It says, "At that time, Merodach Baladan, the son of Baladan, the king of Babylon, sent letters and a gift to Hezekiah after he heard that he had been sick but was strong again. So Hezekiah began to rejoice over them and proceeded to show them his treasure house, the silver and the gold and the balsam oil and the good oil and all his armory and all that was to be found in his treasures. There proved to be nothing that Hezekiah did not show them in his own house and in all his dominions." Now notice what happens the next day. The Babylonian king is trying to entice Hezekiah, the king, that he really cares about. There are certain things that the king of Babylon wants from Jerusalem, but those are the interests of Jerusalem. Now we see what the prophet Isaiah, upon visiting Hezekiah, this is what occurs, and this is what happens. Verse 3 of 39. "After that Isaiah the prophet came into King Hezekiah and said to him, What did these men say, the men from Babylon? And from where did they proceed to come to you? So Hezekiah said, From a distant land they came to me, from Babylon. And he went on to say, What did they see in your house? To this Hezekiah said, everything that is in my house they saw. They proved to be nothing that I did not show them. There proved to be nothing that I did not show them in my treasures. Isaiah now said to Hezekiah, hear the word of Jehovah of armies. Look, days are coming, all that is in your own house, and all that your forefathers have stored up down to this day will actually be carried to Babylon. Nothing will be left. Jehovah has said.